Hi, I'm Dave Gibbons, staff archaeologist with the Jamestown Rediscovery Project, and I'm standing down in a cellar that we started excavating in the spring of this year, 2012, and we're now down to the working surface. So over the past year, we've been removing the layers that were dumped in here at the end of the life of this building. So the first layer was a Lord Delaware deposit that likely dates to 1610. Underneath that layer was a starving time artifact layer full of chopped up horses and dogs and cats and rats and things like that. And then the last layer on top of the layer I'm standing on was the melted building. This building was probably mud walls, and it washed down into the cellar on top of this flat floor where I'm standing. Now this floor is full of ash and artifacts, and what we think it is a working surface for these ovens. This is one oven I'm standing next to. We found two of them, one in the south portion of the cellar, one on the east portion, and they're likely some kind of bread oven, but the artifacts that are in this layer may tell us the function of the cellar. So normally the way that we map these features is in the way the layers were deposited. In other words, when the colonists were backfilling the cellar so there wasn't just a big empty hole in the middle of the fort, they would come along with buckets or something, wheelbarrows, and dump artifacts in here. So what we do is we excavate those layers, we map each of them as sort of an outline. But there's something a little different here, and that's the artifacts in relation to this oven are in their original position, and so it provides us with a little more challenging mapping. So the archaeologists are going to be digging today, and I'm going to come back and see what they found, and we'll talk a little bit more about how we deal with artifacts that are dropped in their original position 400 years ago. So what have we found today, Danny?
Yeah, so we're now down in the ash layers and we're finding hundreds of sturgeon bones. We've got sturgeon scutes, we've got the fins to sturgeon, and you can actually take the sturgeon fins, cross-section them, and see the growth rings, just like the folks who study tree rings do. You can find out how old these sturgeon were when they were caught, and you can also find out how fast they were growing. So we're also seeing a number of turtle shells down here, and this is all mixed in again with the ash and with the soot probably from these ovens. So it looks like these sturgeon were being processed down here to be consumed, or they were sending some sturgeon meat and caviar back actually to Europe to try to turn a profit. Our next challenge here is going to be to try to map all these bones in place, because this is very important to keep track of where they're coming from. This is a great opportunity to understand what this cellar was being used for.
So it's pretty clear that we have, massive amount of artifacts, and our normal routine of mapping this with the transit's not necessarily going to work. So I think what we're going to do with this is use photography or photogrammetry to map, where we take a photograph, we rectify the picture, and put it on a computer and map each of these in situ, in place.